very fortunate today to be interviewing Lester Khoo. He is the Director of International Relations and Development at AUT University. So Lester, when did you first come to New Zealand and become a citizen?
Well, I guess it goes back another generation. My parents were born in Malaysia and I was born in New Zealand back in the early 70s.
Very good. And so, as a consequence of that, did your parents pass on to you the importance of citizenship, of voting, of making sure that you are counted and can influence what happens in public life?
Absolutely. I think from a very young age they endeared the concept of sort of societal responsibility. With rights comes with obligations, and certainly in terms of when I was 18 I was told go and vote, not telling me which party or which sort of political spectrum, but certainly I had to exercise that right and obligation.
So why do you think, Lester, that a lot of migrants don't vote? Because the rates of voting amongst migrants is very low.
Correct. I think there's a real lack of information that's being published, and also in terms of advertised and promoted amongst the ethnic groups. So if you look at, for example, some of the ethnic groups like the Filipinos or some of the mainland Chinese, for example, they don't know what this whole referendum is about, let alone what are the options. So it's a matter of not just having it in English, but in other languages, and promotion not just in the English language, but in their mother tongues, and explaining it to them in that cultural context.
It's interesting, really, because if you could talk to the flag people, they'll say,
sure,
oh, they've gone to great lengths to make sure that they're dealing with all ethnic groups in New Zealand. But still, the word on the street is that they still don't know what's going on.
Absolutely, and I actually went on the website and had a look. They've gone to malls, busy malls they call it. They've had all these public sort of forums, etc. But those are quite generic. I think if you really want to get into the ethnic groups, you have to go into their particular setting and actually explain it in that context, and the importance of voting and the implications if you don't vote. This is the first time it's ever happened in the history of New Zealand. This is a massive event.
So Lester, explain to me
sure,
how you think Māori would feel about a referendum like this, as opposed to perhaps Asian New Zealanders.
I think Māori should absolutely feel confident that in addition to their Tino Rangatira flag back in 2009 passed by the New Zealand government, this is an additional flag that represents real New Zealanders and real New Zealand. So I think this will augment and add to what they have already in my view.
Because otherwise, they could feel quite threatened by the exercise.
Sure.
They've got their own flag, they might
absolutely
have. And of course we're generalising.
Sure.
Different iwi and hapu have different views.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm very positive that Māori will feel very empowered that this referendum will augment their existing rights.
So Lester, why don't we make you a one-man communication machine for encouraging our group of people, Asian New Zealanders, to really get out there and vote? Why don't you say to camera an encouragement?
I think it's absolutely important. This is the first time since 1909 when the New Zealand government actually changed the flag, and that was by way of Parliament. This is the first time we've ever, as a people or peoples of New Zealand, had a real opportunity to decide the future flag of New Zealand that will represent the new New Zealand.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lester.
Thank you, mate.